Gonna have soup for dinner. This is one of my favorite times of year for making soup. And everyone in our house has had, you probably can hear it a little bit, we've all caught this little bug that's going around. Seems like there is just, everywhere I turn, someone is sick. And this is the season, right? People are sick a lot right now. So I really like to make soup for lots of reasons. Number one is you can add all sorts of things to it that help to boost immunity, right? And it's funny, if you know the history of soup, like the wealthy and the noble didn't really eat a lot of soup. They didn't eat a lot of vegetables. They tended to eat more very rich foods like meats. It was peasants and people like that that ate soup. Why? Because they wanted to, because they were poor and they had to basically eat whatever they could get a hold of. But soup was a way that they could gather whatever they could get, and they could throw it into a pot and put water with it, and they would throw the bones in and it would leach the bones, and they could get whatever nutrients well, at the time they didn't really know what vitamins were, but they could leach the flavor out of the bones and they could stretch it. It would go for a lot longer if they could basically add water and just throw a whole bunch of stuff in there. So that was sort of the idea behind soup. So it was basically a money-saving thing. Now fast forward, one of the reasons I like soup, I have a whole section on soup in the Brain Warriors Way cookbook, and one of the things I love, it's going to be mirror image because I am having to do this by myself, so I've got it in reverse. But there's a section on soups in there, and one of the things I talk a lot about is ways to save money. People always complain that eating healthy costs too much money. Well, it's not. It turns out that it's not as expensive as people think. Yes, you have to be more conscious about it, but one of the ways you save money, one of the reasons it's expensive to eat healthy is because people buy more than they need of the really healthy foods. They end up wasting a lot and throwing it out. So I don't want you to do that. One of the things I'm going to do tonight, I'm going to deviate from the recipe that I'm going to share with you. So the recipe I'm sharing with you is my healthy chicken soup in Brain Warriors Way cookbook. You're going to have to bear with me. I'm going to drink some of my lemon and ginger water while I'm talking to you. But I'm going to deviate from the recipe. And that's what I want to talk to you about doing tonight. I want you to start thinking of soup not so much as something you have to follow a close recipe for, because really the idea behind soups is to use what you have, right? So I'm using a lot of leftovers tonight. So I'm deviating from this recipe. I'm using stuff that I have that I want to use up before it goes bad. So I'm using chicken that I already have cooked. The recipe talks about using chicken, and it teaches you, like, it's going to help you cook the chicken along with the soup. But I'm not doing that. I'm actually using leftover chicken, and quite frankly, the soup tastes better when you do that because the chicken's already been cooked. It's usually got some spices and herbs, and it's been marinating in something or whatever, so it often tastes much better that way. And then I'm also going to deviate with the spices and the herbs a little bit because I've got some basil I want to use up. That's not one of the herbs that's in the recipe, but I'm going to use some basil today. And then I've got some thyme I'm going to throw in there. Normally it calls for some sage, but somehow I think sage and basil kind of like they collide. They just don't quite go well together. I'm also going to add a little bit of stewed tomatoes, which is not something that's in the recipe, but add them if you like them. So that's the thing about soup. Just do what you want to do. Now, I'm putting bone broth in there. There's a big difference between regular bouillon or broth that you buy in the store and bone broth. Okay, there's a big difference. And you can actually buy bone broth now. You used to have to make it. I have a recipe for bone broth in my cookbook, and I'm just going to be really honest with you. I wish I was better about taking all my bones and throwing them in a crock pot with a little bit of apple cider vinegar, because that's really all you have to do. But I'm not that great about it. But so I'm really happy you can buy bone broth. Bone broth has up to 10 grams of protein per 8 ounces. Believe it or not, it's shocking. But more than that, what it does is it leaches a lot of the nutrients from the bones, and it also has a lot of amino acids. It boosts immunity, has amino acids that are really helping to heal you. So this myth that we used to think of, oh, why is like mom's homemade chicken soup so healing? We thought it was just sort of a myth. We thought it was in our heads. No, it's actually more than just in your head. It's because they used to use these homemade ingredients with all these herbs and things like that, but they typically did use a more natural homemade type of broth. And so bone broth is very healing. So there are several types of broth you can get. You know what? I'm gonna have to post the names for you. I don't have it sitting in front of me at the moment. For some reason, it's slipping my mind. I think Bare Bones or something like that is one of them, but there's a few. I'll have to like get those names for you. They're grass-fed, free-range, organic, and so I'll get those names for you. Anyways, so I'm gonna start with this, and basically what I'm gonna do is I'm going to put the onions. I have a little bit of avocado oil and a little bit of broth. You don't have to use much oil for sauteing your veggies if you don't want to. I actually use more broth than oil, but I use avocado oil for sauteing rather than olive oil. So onions, garlic. We like a lot of garlic in our family, love it, and it's also very good for your immunity. So I've got like 5 cloves, even though it says 2. As long as everyone in your family likes it, you're good there. So just make sure everyone likes it as much as you do, because you're all gonna smell like it. Carrots and your celery are gonna saute for about 5 minutes. I'm not gonna do this whole soup with you. I'm just gonna show you basically, I'm gonna reverse the order in how I'm doing this, because normally you would cook the chicken. Like right now you'd be cooking the chicken along with it. But I'm not gonna cook the chicken right now because the chicken I've already got it cooked. So rather than, normally you would saute your veggies, start your chicken in advance, saute your veggies for about 5 minutes, throw the chicken in, and then wait another 5 minutes or so, and then put all of your herbs and spices in, and then just let it simmer for about 20 minutes. I'm gonna reverse it. I'm gonna saute for about 5 minutes, throw all of my broth and my spices in, and then I'm going to, at the end, I'm gonna throw some cabbage and my pre-cooked chicken in at the end. The cabbage cooks fast. That's why you only throw it in for the last like 4 or 5 minutes at the end. And I'm gonna throw the chicken in at the very end just to heat it up, if that makes sense, while it's simmering. So just for like 5 minutes at the very end, just to heat that chicken up. So if you're using pre-cooked chicken, throw it in at the end. And that's really all there is to it. So the rest of this is just gonna go in. 5 minutes from now, I'm gonna throw in my tomatoes, my bone broth. I'll probably add a little bit of water because bone broth is definitely thicker than, a little bit stronger than just commercial broth. And then I'm gonna throw in my basil, thyme, some onion powder. I'm gonna try out a little bit of Old Bay seasoning. That's not normally something I use. Normally I throw in individual spices like pepper and all that stuff. Paprika, but I'm just going to try some of that and I'm going to see how that goes. So I just encourage you to play a little bit, but try some healing recipes right now. I love this because it makes leftovers, and I know this is the whole new year, new you. I hate New Year's resolution time because what it really indicates to me is that people have like taken the last 3 months off. Okay, I don't know what that's all about, but I'd rather you did not take the last 3 months off, but if you did, just get back up. As a brain warrior, we know falling is just part of life. Get up. It just means you need to get up. There's no failing, there's just falling, just get up. But rather than new year, new you, because there's no new you. You are the only you have. There's only one of you, so take care of you, okay? So stop thinking that you get a new you, because you don't. You only get so many do-overs before you start to deteriorate and your health starts to go with you. So I hope this helps build you back up, gives you the strength to start just living with passion, enjoying life, and starting this new year, really starting to realize your goals and not going off track like you have in the past, but just enjoying your family. Thanks, take care, bye-bye. And this recipe, by the way, TanaAmen.com, you can find it there.